Salutare tuturor, sunt Andrei Radu, bun venit la ePlan. Astăzi vorbim despre schimbările din lumea SEO, așa cum o știm în prezent, odată cu dezvoltarea inteligenței artificiale și cu trecerea Google de la căutările bazate pe cuvinte cheie la căutările bazate pe generative AI. Care va fi impactul, cum facem SEO de acum înainte, cum rămânem relevanți în căutări? Sunt câteva întrebări la care încercăm să aflăm răspunsul astăzi, iar alături de mine este Dale Bertrand, expert în SEO și AI. Welcome, Dale. Welcome to Romania for the first time in your life, right?
Yes, well, thank you for the invitation. It's been so fun to see the country.
Excellent. Let's talk about the generative AI. What is this concept? What does it mean exactly?
So Google has been using AI for a long time in the search engine for many different things, for understanding content, for understanding queries, and finding the right pages when somebody searches. But what we've all seen is that generative AI is changing things very quickly, because Google will use generative AI to create answers, to answer questions so that people don't need to go to your website. And that can be scary if you're not getting traffic. But then also marketers who are doing SEO are using generative AI to optimize their content and create content. So it really changes a lot.
Okay, so what does it mean exactly as a concept? Generative AI means that an AI, an algorithm, will generate content for you?
Yes, but it's so much more.
They can write a story or stuff like that?
It is so much more than that. So it can create content.
Okay.
So that's important. It can create it on the fly, it can create it on your website. But what it's really doing is it's understanding language.
Okay.
And when you're using generative AI, or when Google is using generative AI to understand language and content, it just gives Google so much more power to create answers.
So basically, Google is switching from the keyword-based search, okay, to generative AI search. And how does this impact, the entire SEO strategy for a business?
It impacts a lot, because for every business, you're going to be targeting your market and your customers in your market. Some markets are very competitive, and also the customers will be searching differently. So they might be searching in ChatGPT, they might be searching on different platforms like TikTok, but also when they search, they could type in longer queries. So they're not just looking for shoes, but they're looking for shoes for
size,
a toddler, who's just starting to walk, longer queries. So it changes a lot in terms of how we create content, how we optimize for Google, and then also how our customers are searching.
Okay, so basically, what are the most important changes that you foresee, in search behavior starting from now on?
So all of us need to look at our market, our customers, because it really is going to be different. But for some markets, your customers will start to search differently, sooner, and some they will start later. And then also we need to look at Google to see how the search results are changing for the keywords that we care about. Because it'll be different in every market. And then also, we're basically transitioning from digital marketing to AI marketing. So all of us as marketers need to learn the AI technologies.
Whether we like it or not.
It's happening, it's coming, it's a train coming, and we're on the tracks, and we have to figure out what do we do, but you can't avoid it.
Okay, so and right now, how can businesses adapt their content, in order to remain discoverable by Google?
Yeah, so we're thinking about it as repositioning the content you already have. So the first thing is to look at the content that you've already published, and to make sure that you're targeting middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel traffic. So that's people who are ready to convert. Because it's really the top of funnel informational traffic which will be difficult to get clicks if Google is answering the questions for you. Google's answering, how do I measure the size of my feet for shoes, or any of those, how do I tie a tie, how do I, what pants should I buy, all of that. And then also, when you're targeting that top of funnel information traffic, we want to make sure that we call it pull through content that encourages people to click.
Okay.
So this is content where you're promising a helpful visual, or you're promising a downloadable, or a template, or a helpful checklist. So you can still do informational content, but it needs to be content where people click to get the information, and not content that Google can summarize and give the answer. So one of the biggest things is if you have unique content, then Google can't summarize because it's your unique perspective.
Okay.
So I'm talking to marketers about writing about your unique expertise, your perspective on your market and your products and your services, and then also tell your customers stories. Because these are all types of content that nobody else is going to publish. So
Okay.
then there's not much for Google to summarize because it's all your unique content, your unique perspective.
So unique is the buzzword, is the keyword for this. But on the other hand, how many businesses can be in fact unique businesses? Because it's very difficult to be unique.
So it is very difficult, but we've been, even before AI, it's been important. So the web has changed. So because there's so much information out on the web, so much content on the web has changed because there's a lot of competition, and you have to be unique. Like the web is not the right channel if you can't figure out how to be unique. So data-driven content, unique perspectives, tell your customers stories. We have to do this going forward. It's not an option unless you're in a market with no competition. And there are still very rare where there are markets online with little competition.
I have some ChatGPT questions for you.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I guess ChatGPT knew your answers because he said, this is a proper question for Dale. What are the new rules for SEO in the context of Google's AI? And I still have some questions.
Yes, so what's important here is we're talking about two different things. One is how do marketers use AI to do SEO and content marketing, but the other one is how is Google using AI so that we understand how to optimize our content. We already talked about unique content and how it has to be unique. Now, one thing is if you're using AI to create content, it's not unique.
It's not unique.
Because the AI is just doing the average of what's already published on the web.
But on the other hand, you create something unique and it will not be new the day after tomorrow. And the AI will take your content.
Yes, that is true. But if it's really based on your unique perspective, your experience, nobody else has your experience.
Okay.
Nobody else has your customer stories. So it is unique, and it will be unique if it's based on you. Now, one trick, so this is an important thing that I've been doing that works really well. AI cannot create unique content, but it can tell you if your content is unique. So what we're doing is we're brainstorming topics and we're writing content. And then we ask the AI, is this unique? And what we're asking AI is, when you were trained on everything that's been written on the web, have you seen anything like this before? And that's really important because you can give it a lot of topics to write about and ask it which are the most unique topics. And that's an important way to use AI to create this unique content.
Okay, what technical SEO practices are still relevant today?
The technical SEO practices that are still relevant are the practices that are helping Google to see your content. So if Google can't crawl your site, Google can't see your content because the website is broken or the pages are broken or they're hidden, that's a problem. So you need to be careful. And then also technical SEO practices that are helping the user experience. So when I go to a website, I don't want to see 50 ads. And I don't want to see pop up in my face. I'm trying to read the content. So Google will demote your content or discount your content if it's not easy to consume. In SEO, we talk a lot about the concept of information gain. But information gain means two things. One thing is unique content. But then the other thing information gain is about is how easy is it for visitors to your website to consume your content? So are you giving them visuals? Are you giving them lists? And then no pop-ups, not a lot of ads. But it's really important to think about unique and easy to consume when you're thinking about the content that you're creating.
Okay, and the second question from ChatGPT. How can marketers balance the use of AI with maintaining a human touch in their content strategies?
So it's important that, this is really tough because I feel like marketers who are using AI, they're using it wrong. You don't want to use AI to write your content. What I've done is I've used AI to make my content better. And then also, I never use the words that AI generates for my content. So if I get to the point where I ask AI to write a paragraph for me, I will look at that paragraph and I will write it in my own words. I won't paste it, which is really important. So the human touch comes from the original ideas that are your human ideas based on your experience, and you're using AI to complete your ideas or make your ideas better. And then also the human touch comes from the final writing in your words and from your perspective. And then making sure that you're always adding your stories. So nobody else has my stories. Nobody else traveled to Romania for an exciting conference this week and meeting the people that I met and do an interview with Andre. Like, nobody else had that experience. So I want to make sure when I'm writing about the SEO concepts that I write about, I'm including those stories. And the stories are unique because they're my stories.
Okay. So what is your advice to small companies with limited resources, to implement this AI-driven strategy in SEO?
So if you're starting with small resources, I would really start with a small community or that you can reach out to. So you have existing customers, you have local customers, and you're writing for them in email and you're creating video for them, if you can create video. Now, video is very important because video is more discoverable than text content. So we wrote a lot of text content because that's what Google wanted, and we still need to create text content. It's still important, but we need to add video because video is easier to get eyeballs on it. So if I was a small business with not a lot of resources, I would focus on maybe you do a video a month, a video a week, whatever you can do. 3 minutes, not an hour long. And it's about your unique content, your perspective, your customer stories, whatever you can talk about. And then from there, you're also writing on that topic on your web. And you don't have to write 1,000 words, 2,000 words. Sometimes when you're telling a story, it's 2 paragraphs, and that's okay. Because it's not for Google, it's for your audience so that they understand. So I would really start with some video and whatever you can do. Now, anytime a marketer is working at a small business, the most important thing is that you create the content that you enjoy creating. And maybe you enjoy social media, maybe you enjoy writing, maybe you enjoy video, but that's the most important thing, because if you don't enjoy it as a marketer for a small business, then you're not going to do it. So I always want to be really careful, because you'll have experts who give advice, do more video, write more content, but it's not right for you because you don't enjoy it. So any of these things can work, if it's social or video or written content, if you enjoy it and you do it consistently.
Okay. In your perspective, do you think AI will definitely, we agree that is here to stay, okay? Yes. It is already a game changer in everything regarding, digital environment, marketing, SEO, and so on. And are there any dangers that we should be aware of?
There are too many dangers.
Okay, let's name 3.
So 3 dangers. It can be inaccurate, so it could give you the wrong information. I don't use AI for information. I use it to help me improve my ideas, my information. And then another issue is not everybody will have AI. So some people have access to the best AI and it's very helpful. Some people don't, and it depends on what country you live in. So it's really difficult. So that's a problem. That's a danger. And then another issue is privacy or confidential information. So some marketers work for agencies, some marketers work for brands, and you have to be very careful giving AI the confidential information for the brands that you're promoting. If I have access to basically the marketing strategy for Nike, because I'm doing work for Nike, I give it to the AI, and now everybody has access. So you have to be
That's not good.
Yeah, you have to be really careful, because sometimes you're training the model when you're using AI. Sometimes the AI will keep the information private, but you have to make sure you know what you're doing.
Okay. What are some emerging SEO opportunities that businesses should be aware of, in this AI context, as AI continues to grow?
Yes.
very fast.
So one is that we want our brand to be mentioned. And our brand will be mentioned if we're doing good PR and brand marketing. So what AI is doing is averaging all of the mentions of all of the brands in your category. So you definitely want to lean into PR and brand marketing. Another opportunity is to create the right content. And the right content is video and it's written content. So written content is still important, but it needs to be the type of content that Google can't summarize. And I'm calling that pull-through content, content that gets clicks. So we need to think, is it bottom of the funnel? So it's transactional content, navigational content, content that's comparing two of your products or multiple products, comparing cars side by side. So, and that's a comparison that Google can't do when it's summarizing the results because it's really based on your experience. So you have to make sure that you're thinking about the opportunity to get your brand out there and mentioned, and then also you're thinking about the opportunity to create the right content. And then the third opportunity I'll talk about is content you've already created. Because there's so many brands. I mean, maybe you have 10 blog articles that you wrote last year, but we need to think about how do we update
refresh
that
them
content.
somehow.
Yeah, because what we used to do for SEO is we would have a content strategy, basically a content calendar, where we're constantly creating new content. But that's kind of the old web. Like we already have content that we created. So for some of the brands I'm working with, most of the content work that they're doing is updating old content, not creating new content. So that's also a big opportunity.
Okay, so you said right now text or content, yes, text, writing content is still important, but we should have video also. On the other hand, do you think that video will become the most important thing in the near future?
Oh, that's so complicated.
Besides text.
It's really going to, I think what's going to change in the future is that we have to think about multiple channels, multiple types of content for the same idea. So if you have an article you wrote a year ago, if it's still a good idea, you can record that as a video. And then if you have a new idea, you're going to want to write about that idea on social media. You will write about that idea on your blog, and then you'll create a video from that, and then maybe YouTube and TikTok. And if you're selling products for e-commerce, you want to make sure that you're putting the right information on Amazon if you're selling on Amazon. But there's so many. So we call it basically like the fragmentation of search. So the difference is, before you could focus only on Google and only written text content and you're fine. Now we want to make sure that we're reusing the same ideas for multiple channels, and that's really going to be the big difference.
But this will be, I guess, a bigger effort for any business, you know, to be present in every type, on every channel and so on.
Yeah, and it's not every channel. It's really the right channels for your customers. So what it looks like in practice. So in practice, you are promoting on 3 channels, like the right channels, and that's what's important. And then when you're creating content for the 3 channels, it's the same ideas, the same concepts, and you're using AI to repurpose. So for example, for me, sometimes I wake up and I enjoy writing content for LinkedIn. Sometimes I enjoy creating a video. Sometimes I enjoy writing a blog article. And it doesn't matter. I just need to get my ideas out of my brain and talk to my customers about my ideas. And then if I write a LinkedIn post, then I can repurpose it as a blog post. I can also make a 3-minute video on the concepts. So the repurposing is easier than the first step, which is the unique ideas that you're getting out there that are obviously related to the products that you sell, which is important.
What about voice search? Because we are using this term many years ago, it started, and everyone said, okay, the SEO guys will die, will not have a job, you know, when voice search appears. So is it a trend? Is it something that will be a game changer or not?
So voice search, yes and no. So yes, because we will all be talking to ChatGPT. We'll all be talking to Siri and Microsoft's Copilot. And so yes, we will be talking. But when we're doing voice search, we're still doing search. So behind the voice search is a search engine or an AI that is similar to Google. So what we want to do is make sure that we have the right content for Google, and then voice search will give you the top result, or maybe it'll summarize multiple results. But the real thing about voice search is still search. Okay. So we want to focus on Google's algorithm for search, and then we get voice as it becomes bigger. But really, what I think voice search is basically you're talking to ChatGPT. So that's really the way we want to think about it.
Okay. And my last question from ChatGPT: how should businesses track and measure the impact of their SEO efforts in the context of generative AI search?
So what we know is that tracking rankings will not tell you the whole picture. So for a long time, as marketers, we're looking at rankings, we're looking at organic traffic, and also we're getting good numbers from Google Search Console, from Microsoft's web, and I'm blanking on the name, but we were getting good data around search traffic. Now, not so much, because what we want to know is we want to understand our visibility in large language models. We want to understand the brand's visibility in generative AI search and ChatGPT, and we don't have the metrics. The truth is we don't know. But what we're playing with is new metrics that measure visibility. So things like basically the weighted visibility. So does your brand appear for a search in generative AI? And when it appears, does it appear towards the beginning of the summary or the end of the summary? Does it appear in the top summary or maybe farther down the page when it's just the sources or just a step-by-step procedure? So obviously you want your brand to appear, and you also want your brand to appear at the top of the page. So we think of that as a weighted visibility metric, which is really, it's too complicated to really understand. It's easy to calculate, to be honest, because you just take a picture of the search results page, find your brand where it's mentioned, and then figure out how high is it, right? So it's easy to calculate, but it's hard for marketers to wrap their head around. So what we're doing is we're in the process of dumping the old metrics, which is related to rankings, because the number one ranking, if it's at the bottom and there's a generative result on top of it, the number one ranking isn't as valuable anymore. So we're replacing those ranking metrics with new metrics, but we're building them. It's something that I write about a lot, but we are building them as we go. And I think in the next month or two, we'll have the right metrics, but they need to be metrics that work, that are basically related to our visibility and our sales at the end of the day. Because what we care about, we don't care about rankings, really.
Of course.
We care about sales.
Yeah, and about business, of course.
So the question is, which of the new metrics, what is the right metric that when we improve this metric, we get sales? And we're starting to figure that out, but it's early days.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dale. It was a pleasure having you at ePlan. Can't wait to see your presentation on stage at GPEC Summit. Thank you very much. Vă mulțumesc tare mult și vouă că ne-ați urmărit. Sunt Andrei Radu. Până data viitoare. Stay digital!